Rain poured down endlessly that night, cold and merciless, much like the life Sophia Turner had been living. She stood in the corner of a small, dimly lit apartment, clutching her son Ethan's blanket close to her chest. He was only 5 years old, sleeping peacefully despite the hunger that gnawed at both of them. The rent was due, the electricity was about to be cut off, and Sophia's last few dollars lay folded inside an old coffee jar. Once, she had dreams of becoming a teacher, of building a happy home. But life had other plans. Her husband, Mark, died in a factory accident 3 years ago, leaving her with a child and mountains of debt. Since then, every day had been a battle, juggling part-time jobs, dodging landlords, and facing pity from people who never truly understood her pain. But that evening, a knock changed everything. It was Richard Hale, a wealthy businessman in his 40s. He owned the company where Sophia had been working part-time as a cleaner. She'd seen him once or twice, the kind of man everyone respected but secretly feared. He was powerful, always calm, and intimidatingly quiet. "Sophia," he said, stepping into the doorway, "I heard about your situation. I can help you." She looked at him, confused. "Help me?" He nodded. "I'll pay off your debts, cover your son's education, give you a proper home. But in return," he paused, his gaze cold and heavy. "You'll marry me." Sophia froze. She didn't know if he was joking. Marriage? With a man she barely knew. But then she thought of Ethan, his fragile health, the unpaid hospital bills, the nights she'd gone without food so he could eat. I don't even know you," she whispered. "You will," he replied simply. "Think about it. My offer stands for 24 hours. When he left, the silence felt louder than before. Sophia sat beside her sleeping son, tears rolling down her cheeks. Was she really considering this? Selling her freedom for survival? But she knew the answer, she had no choice. The next day, she said yes. Within a week, she was Mrs. Hale. The ceremony was small and formal, no flowers, no music, just papers signed and lives changed. Richard gave her and Ethan a mansion to live in, complete with servants and endless rooms. To everyone else, she looked like the luckiest woman alive. But inside that mansion, behind the closed doors, lived a truth much darker. Richard was not the man he appeared to be. He controlled everything, what she wore, where she went, even when she spoke. His kindness vanished the moment she said, "I do." Every time she tried to make conversation, he would silence her with a glare. And though he never raised his hand, his words cut deeper than any slap ever could. "You should be grateful," he would say coldly. "Without me, you'd still be begging for scraps." Sophia's heart broke a little more each day. She stayed quiet for Ethan's sake, pretending everything was fine. But her son noticed. "Mom," he asked one night, "why don't you smile anymore?" Her throat tightened. "I'm just tired, sweetheart." But the truth was, she was dying inside. Months passed. Sophia became a ghost in her own home, moving silently, breathing carefully, afraid of doing anything that might upset him. Richard's cruelty wasn't always visible, it lived in small things, taking her phone away, forbidding her from seeing friends, mocking her for her past. "You think people respect you because you're my wife," he sneered one night. "They only tolerate you because of me." And yet, she endured. For Ethan. Until one evening changed everything. It was Ethan's 6th birthday. Sophia had begged Richard to let her host a small party, just a cake, a few of Ethan's friends from school. Surprisingly, he agreed. For a brief moment, she thought maybe he had softened. But when the guests arrived and Ethan ran to hug his mother, Richard's expression darkened. He didn't like seeing her happy. During the party, he whispered in her ear, "Don't forget who allowed this." Sophia smiled weakly, pretending everything was fine. But when Ethan accidentally spilled juice on Richard's expensive shirt, the atmosphere shifted. Richard's face twisted in anger. "Do you know how much this costs?" he barked. Ethan froze, terrified. Sophia quickly stepped between them. It's just juice, Richard. He's a child. Don't tell me how to behave in my own house, he roared. The room went silent. The guests stared in shock. Ethan began to cry, and Sophia's heart shattered. That night, after everyone left, she went to Ethan's room and held him tight. We're leaving, she whispered. I don't care where, but we can't stay here anymore. But she knew it wouldn't be easy. Richard watched her every move. For weeks, she quietly saved money, hiding small bills in the lining of her coat. She planned everything, the bus route, the time he'd be away for business, the place they would go. The day finally came. She packed a small bag, picked Ethan up from school early, and left the mansion without looking back. Her heart pounded the whole way. When Richard discovered their absence, he was furious. He sent messages, made calls, even showed up at her mother's house demanding she return. But Sophia had found refuge in a women's shelter, a safe place where she and Ethan could finally breathe again. It wasn't easy starting over. She took small cleaning jobs, attended therapy, and eventually started studying for a teaching certificate again, something she'd given up years ago. Slowly, she began to heal. Ethan, too, began to smile again. Mom, he said one morning, I like this place. You laugh more here. Sophia smiled, tears in her eyes. That's because we're free now. Months turned into a year. One afternoon, she received a letter, a job offer from a local school. When she stepped into that classroom for the first time, chalk in hand, she realized she had finally found herself again. Her story spread quietly through the community, the woman who had once married a monster just to survive but found the courage to escape and rebuild her life. And when someone once asked her if she regretted marrying Richard, she said softly, no. Because that pain taught me what real strength is, and what real love looks like. Now, every time she watches Ethan laugh, every time she opens her classroom door, she whispers a small prayer of gratitude. Not for the monster she escaped, but for the courage she found to walk away. Because sometimes, survival isn't about staying alive, it's about finding the strength to start again.